Hey everyone, I would like to share a story with you that I call Karma the Sacred Cow. And what I request is your attention, and your attention inwardly as a witness to noticing what evokes in you when I share this story. Our ancestor stories are very powerful when we access them and we share them. We honor backwards and heal backwards and forwards in time. We expand the context of our self-understanding. We gain more resources and blessings and wisdom than we do when we ignore those stories or leave them behind or don't think we can access them. We have stories about our stories. So I'm going to share this story called Karma. I call Karma the Sacred Cow. And please notice what you notice in yourself as you listen. Now, this is not an easy story, but it has its beauty and its grace. So it's a redemptive story is how I would call this. So a year ago, I was up on Fairmont Ridge up above San Leandro for the sunset with my friend Robert. And suddenly we saw this cow charging at us directly towards me and full on charging. It must have been this walking stick that I had, recovering from some injuries, that the glitter perhaps attracted it, I don't know. But it charged at me, and what I did was I employed my Tai Chi Aikido skills and went, and it veered away. So perhaps I saved my life there. My dad, Arthur Avram, at 9 years old, remembers going with his father, Mordechai, my grandfather, whom I'm named after, to choose out the cows in the nearby farmhouses and villages of the area around their shtetl, Klebutsk, small village called Klebutsk, out of Częstochow in Poland, not far from the German border. And he would measure the cows. He was with his father choosing out which ones had more meat on them and which were the ones that would be favorable for milking. And they would purchase the cows. He had a non-Jewish partner, my grandfather, and they would supply the kosher meat and the non-kosher meat to their village, providing for families, providing for the village. So I come from ancestors in my paternal lineage that were kosher butchers. My great-grandmother Rachel, my great-grandfather Wolf Gelbart, my grandfather, my uncle Itzik, other uncles, my grandfathers had a large family. So butchers, what does that evoke in you? It's like, well, butchering a story, I hope I don't butcher this one, but even that's a negative. There's these associations because of where we are now, whereas generationally, 2 generations, 3 generations ago, they didn't have those connotations to those professions. Those occupations were honorable, feeding families. And now, with all the controversy around meat eating, and my own internal conflicts and struggles around eating meat, I understand all the ethical reasons, moral reasons, environmental reasons, political reasons for being more in a plant-based diet. And yet I have these ancestors whom I honor and my own predilection for meat eating. Can the slaughter of animals be ethical? Putting that question aside and your feelings about that. It's said that there were 2 birds at the tree of life, and one eats meat and the other doesn't. My friend Leah Lamb, who's a maestra storyteller and inspiration, I encourage you to look her up. She visited the Galapagos recently and really sees the gifts of that. Many acupuncturists perceive the gifts of meat eating. There are ways in which our ancestors for thousands of years, maybe tens of thousands of years, maybe hundreds of thousands of years, have eaten meat to survive. Well, in the Galapagos, the animals ate other animals, predators and prey. So perhaps, we were perpetrators, as some people would say, of meat eaters. But I like to see it as the honorable profession that it was. Now the story gets more difficult. My grandfather Mordechai, when the Anschluss happened, the invasion of Poland, within 3 days they were in the Nazis were in the shtetl. Klobutsk shot my strongest great uncle, Itzik, and my grandfather Mordechai refused to stop being a kosher butcher and was taken away and tried in a kangaroo court. His last letter, tear-stained, arriving to the family before he was taken away at Auschwitz and likely died in the ovens. I honor my grandfather Mordechai. He's in my spine. He speaks to me. He has spoken with me. I speak with him. He tells me, don't torture yourself. Be peaceful. He feels to me like a man with great dignity and courage. So where does the story go from here? What is this evoking in you? In the Hebrew tradition, Isaac was laid on the altar by his father Abraham. And instead of being sacrificed, a goat was sacrificed in his stead and fed to the people. And thus, in human history, there was a transformation based in the Hebrew tradition, the Abrahamic tradition, which has spawned 3 major religions, however you feel about religion. There are many blessings within the people who have practiced and observed these traditions over the course of time. We can access these traditions and the wisdom by not throwing the baby out with the bathwater, however you're formed towards your attitudes towards religion. So we went from human sacrifice to animal sacrifice in one fell swoop, as the angel Gabriel made sure to shift the knife away from Isaac. Nowadays, meat is outsourced, packaged. We're far away from the means, from the source of how those animals are treated. We pay more attention now to grass-fed. We pay more attention to non-hormones. We pay more attention. We lean more towards vegetarian options. And that is wise. And at the same time, the occupations we come from are in our bodies. And sometimes those occupations aren't necessarily pretty. Sometimes those occupations are troublesome. What occupations do your ancestors come from? Well, I've told the story in this way. I've told it before. I'll tell it again. This is the rendering that I bring to you. Please share your comments. Whatever this evokes in you, notice and share so we can bring a feast to the table. Plants, fruits, noodles, vegan, eggs, meat. We cannot dictate taste. Live well. Thank you for listening. Share, please.